Okay, this is the final tape here. I'm going to try to go really fast. I want to outline four of our projects again so you understand what they are. I want to present three of our biggest challenges, and four, I want to outline our new opportunities. Let's start with our products. First, let me review Preaching Points. Preaching Points is driven by lay people. I am asking six leaders, lay leaders hopefully, maybe a couple pastors, to learn from me how to take small groups of lay people and do outreach. For example, taking four couples and outlining a floor block place in the city and having a goal of 2 years to Christianize that area. Or as I did in Orlando, I had some folks go into the projects, and we realized that, hey, basically parents were not going to be bringing their kids to church. We did further research. We found kids 4 to 14 were most likely in our culture to receive Christ, not teenagers. So we designed a nursery for adults. And then we thought if it was for the kids, the adults would bring them for sure. So they did. And we started loading it up. And the city heard about it, and they gave them a grant of $30,000 and gave them a community center 24/7. I would only let them do it 2 years, and here's why. I am absolutely persuaded that Preaching Points drain people after 2 years. So that's a rule. Now they can take 6 months off and restart. The goal is not to build a group that lasts forever. Somebody says, well, what happens to the people after they go through that? Well, we've got other ideas for them to morph into, but there's no reason to kill people over that concern. Also, I believe, most people are good adults, and if you instruct them how to proceed, they do that. We train them like, we're all morons, and the people are very smart from my experience. So, what also happens is sometimes if these groups grow to say 60 70 people, usually these lay people are not going to sustain a church or develop a church. I have found there are a ton of people who can take a group of 60 and grow it to 300. Getting it to 60 is the hardest thing in the world, and I've watched, and lay people do it better. So that's our unique shift in things. I believe, if you remember this, we are bringing in what I call a pre-church plant ministry. I think we've left out a step. We've gone from school or staff training straight into church planting. We need an intermediary step where these groups are actually developed before our planters get there, because they're burnt out by the time they get to the target market sometimes, and then you got to stall and all this kind of stuff. So anyway, that's what we're doing there. 2 is Praxis. You know a lot about that already. A 1-year plan. 3rd one is Legacy, which is for baby boomers, people 55 and over, learning how to leave a legacy and put their spiritual imprint and business imprint on life. I'm about 3/4 of the way through the curriculum. I've been doing proof of concept a little bit. 3 of the major people I've shown it to thought that was the best thing we were doing. And actually, a large church group in the Southwest and another in Virginia want us to just do that for their baby boomer population. So I'm working on that. I think it's a good thing, because boomers have about 30, 40, possibly 40 viable years ahead. And our old concepts of age are archaic. So we need to do that. Number 4, and I want to spend a little time on this, is our Vista Church Network. Tossing around calling it Vista Awakening Network. And that involves our triple church plant coming up. And one part of the church in Baltimore, one in Orlando, and one in Seattle. We're starting them all at once as one church, one network. I'm sharing the same staff with all of them, basically. Ron Larson in Baltimore is going to shift around and speak for me in different places, as is Dr. Alakir Rogers and Dr. David Lovelace. So I've got plenty of help, and some of them are going to be helping me with Praxis sites as well. Basically, we meet once a month for the traditional gathering. We have 2 to 3 weeks there where I've designed curriculum, and we've got numerous ways that people connect. But the main one is I've written a Sabbath day curriculum for Christian families, so they could take a couple Sundays or one Sunday, and the family be responsible for themselves, spiritual development. I'm going to prepare some downloadable webinar taped material they can download and include in that, or I'll probably get somebody else to take my curriculum and do it. I don't look that good on screen. So that's the deal there. And then once a month, a big party. What I've done and found in my research, and a sociologist called Josh Packard, far smarter than me, did a face-to-face, what we call focus groups with 100 families. And what we found out is, I'll simplify it, they said, well, we just want to eat together with Christians. And the full service church, we're wore out by the time we get through all the layers of activity to what we really care about, which is connecting with lives and applying the word. We like the once a month idea. We want to do that, but our families are being neglected by the way we do church. And we're sending our kids here and there. We're just getting in trouble with it. Now remember, that's 60% of Christians. So I'm attempting to do that. But along with that, for want of a better word, I've been pushed into starting, for want of a better word, as I say, quote unquote, a new denomination or new movement or new network with this Vista thing. And here's why. My new book, Leadership, is coming out on Amazon next week. You will all get a copy of it in ebook format. Probably in a month we'll have hard copies, and I'll get you that too. I've sent it out to 15 key leaders around the country. Here's what happened. One of the head pastors of United Methodist sent me a note back, conservative guy, and he said if just 10% of the people who read this did this stuff, we would have an awakening. He was blown away. Leonard Sweet read it, who's one of the number one church area writers, and he flipped out and wanted to do a preface and wanted me to do a book on the boomer thing. I've had 8 major leaders now contact me and say this. One has 3,000 members in his church. One is a bishop. They want to leave their ministries that they're doing now and have me help train them and lead them to do what's in that book with new forms of church gathering and outreach. Because here's what we've found. In the book, I didn't put all of what I'm thinking because it's going to be hard enough to get across what I did put in there. But here's what we have. Last year, 2 million people left the church. Every year, the last 3 years, the repossessions are tripling of churches. And I came at this through a back door through being a turnaround consultant who's very good at it. But I began to discover that the reason for the collapse of churches was 9 out of 10 times due to poor pastoral transitions. Now, that's a hard one to correct because it really takes 3 years to do a good transition of a leader. I've concluded, and this is just between you and me, and I am not ultra-radical, and I'm not cute, and I don't have anything I'm pushing, but I do believe what is happening is the way we've thought about pastors since Constantine and Martin Luther and all that is totally wrong-headed. In the Bible, there are not pastors who are leading churches. I'm sorry, they aren't. It appears to me it's apostles, and then what they call overseers, which very clearly connotes leading a diaconate, and other leaders, and they are more overseers. Something that I've shifted to the early Methodists used in America called circuit riders, and these were leaders who actually led leaders. They were not what I would call shepherds of a flock as we think about it. Also, churches were in great part led by evangelists. See, Paul was a teacher, but also a tremendous evangelist prophet person. I don't want to get cute about that either, but I'm just saying this to say the benign sort of paternalistic role we've had leading churches is not working well. Some of the side effects of it I'm finding are responsible for a lot of our problems. So I'm feeling a need to move away and develop a model that can be absorbed. I don't like confrontation. People are misunderstanding me. They think I'm hypercritical or I think I'm smart. I'm really not. I just love people. I want to see an awakening. America must be one, and it isn't going to be one the way we're doing it. That's me. I'm 65. I don't know how many strong years I have. I'm hoping 25. And I'm a funny guy. I can't live with this kind of information and not feel immoral by not trying to do something about it. And that's what really the Mirror Group's about, Proxis and all that. So if you'll journey with me, what I'm seeking now is 10 leaders who will lead 10 other people we call circuit riders. Francis Asbury and really the early Baptists used the same methods as well in the Eastern Seaboard. I've had some Baptist scholars walk me through that. Basically, they didn't pay any pastors. Pastors were considered bivocational or unpaid. They paid circuit riders, and the Baptists had similar people that they had a different name. And then there were bishops, and they paid evangelists. They didn't pay pastors, they paid evangelists. Asbury, usually between 1 and 50 churches, he had an evangelist full time. So they paid apostolic people, they paid circuit riders, they did not pay local pastors because they didn't feel they could do a complete job without these circuit riders coming in and bringing certain aspects that were beyond the capabilities of what we see in the Bible as caregivers. So that's what we're going to do. I'm starting out on it now. I would like your prayers. And here's how we're going at it. This is not going to be a free little easy thing for everybody. I'm putting up some hurdles. I'm making everybody considers being part of it pay $100 to us for my time and our work and our website to even learn about it. I don't want it to be easy. I was studying 1 Chronicles 21:34 the other day, and it said that David would not accept a piece of land for worship. He wanted to pay full price to it. So much of our church work and training, my gosh, consulting guys are going out of work one by one because everybody's giving everything away because that's what we've got an entitlement mentality in our churches. I've tried to start 10 things. I turn around, I'm the only one putting personal money into it. And I decided, the last two, I'm not going to do that anymore. If you're in, put some of your money in. Don't talk. And that concerned me. So it's also going to be not ties into, we're not going to be making churches cash cows for us. What they're going to pay is a fee. And I'm thinking the guys I've talked with want to be part of it, like $300 a month. And we're going to begin training evangelists. We're going to begin developing pastors who are not paid. We're going to begin having circuit riders. We're going to develop this thing. It's going to take us a lot of work and maybe a few years. When we're done with that, I think we will have a model that can be impressed upon and influential on the circuits we have, because we need conventional denominations or we're dust. They're the backbone of the future, but they need some help. I think not somebody yelling at them about what they're doing wrong. I want to do it and have it available to watch. So I'm going to end there. Our needs are one. I need to figure out how to make up for what we call our billable time that I'm putting in on these church things, because there's very little response back. The Free Methodists in Seattle have offered a considerable amount, but that's it. So what happens when I put time in on these things, I lose billable time. I figured just on 2 cities projects the last 18 months, I've lost about 40 grand in billable hours. That's not an exaggeration. If anything, that's probably an understatement, but it's needed to be done. We've missed about 4 windows to get it going. So we need to pray that God will do a makeup on that for sure. 2, we need some regional staff to pray in. I don't mean that we have to pay them, but we can set up a system where they can. And I was Rick and Alakir joining, and a couple others. I've got Randy Sanford in Portland, and others that are coming on helping guide stuff. So I want to end with this to say, pray with me that we would get over those 2 hurdles. We've got to figure them out. And the third one is, we want to make sure Praxis is actually producing leaders that can do what I'm talking about here, as well as be helpful to conventional churches. Okay, I'm going to close. We'll have a good talk. I hope you'll appear on Thursday night with questions for discussion, because I talk too much. I write horrible emails. They are muddy. My syntax is horrid. So I'm going to try to just do these. We'll see how we do. I even talk too long here. I'm sorry. Don't know what to do about it. You got me. This is what you get. Okay, bye.